Hey guys, what's up? I'm here with another flick of the week, and this week's flick of the week might be a bit surprising. I should probably tell you a couple runner-ups. Just real quick, I'm not gonna, insert any clips or anything, I'm just gonna tell you what they are. A couple runner-ups are Wishmaster 2, Evil Never Dies, was it The Killing of America, and, I think that was it for the runner-ups. But this week's flick of the week is a comedy science fiction action film from director Edgar Wright, director of Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz, and Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Ugh. And this week's flick of the week is The World's End. The World's End, if you don't know this, is part of the Blood and Cornetto trilogy. The Blood and Cornetto trilogy, which a lot of people don't know this, is made up of 3 movies. It's made up of Shaun of the Dead, Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and The World's End. Now, as of this year, I finally got around to seeing Hot Fuzz, and just a few days ago, I finally got around to seeing The World's End. So, what did I think of the film? Well, it's probably the weakest entry in the Blood and Cornetto trilogy, and but does that mean I don't like it? No. I still absolutely loved this movie. So the Blood and Cornetto trilogy is basically, there are 3 films that are directed by written and directed by Edgar Wright, and they star Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. And they usually play very similar characters. Simon Pegg usually plays the very kind of uptight, not too chill, kind of like very flustered or like serious character, and Nick Frost usually plays the kind of goofy, like, oh, I just want to hang out and have fun kind of character. And for this film, they actually switched that. So in this film, Simon Pegg is the very kind of party having fun character, and Nick Frost is the very serious, flustered kind of character. And that was a really cool switch up because it really differentiates this film from the rest of them. Now, let me just go through and tell you what I thought of the first 2 entries in the Blood and Cornetto trilogy. The first one, Shaun of the Dead, is probably the best entry in the series. I will be honest, when I first saw it, when I was like, when was it? Like 2007 when I first saw it? So, let's see, it's been 8 years. So I saw Shaun of the Dead when I was 10 years old, and to be honest with you, I didn't think it was that funny at all. I actually didn't see why people liked it so much, and I thought it was a bit overrated. Fast forward to, like a couple years ago, maybe even last year, where I went back to it and I rewatched it, and I realized how absolutely hilarious and genius the film was, and I was like, okay, well, I kind of have to watch Hot Fuzz now, and I slowly realized that there's a ton of zombie movie references and horror movie references in the film that I didn't notice the first time I watched the film, or that I hadn't noticed any of the other times I watched the movie. Now we fast forward to this year. I finally get around to watching Hot Fuzz. I mean, hell, I even own Hot Fuzz on Blu-ray. I don't own Shaun of the Dead as of yet. I know my parents have a copy somewhere around the house. I might just steal their copy and just put it in my collection, because I often do that with some of their movies and they don't really care or notice. So, yeah, I got around to watching Hot Fuzz. Hot Fuzz, an action film that I often still think is a bit of a horror film. I actually think all 3 of the films are horror films, just in kind of how they're displayed and how some of the scenes go. But Hot Fuzz is basically a movie about a cop that is sent to, like, the middle of nowhere in England, a small town in England, and he's sent there, and there's like this thing going on. People are mysteriously dying, and he thinks that these people are being murdered, while everybody else is just like, no, murders don't happen here. This is too nice of a town for there to be murders. And it eventually gets to the point that a bunch of creepy shit happens, and the movie's really gory and awesome, and also, again, really, really hilarious. 10 out of 10, just like Shaun of the Dead. Now we get to our flick of the week. The World's End. The World's End is about this group of guys that when they got out of high school, they decided to do the Golden Mile, which is where they do a run. Not a run, but it's like a pub run, where they go from one pub to the very last pub, which is called the World's End. And they go to each pub, and they stop at each pub, and they'll they'll drink a pint, and then they'll go to the next pub and drink a pint, and they couldn't do it when they got out of high school. So Simon Pegg's character, Gary King, Simon Pegg's character Gary decides to get everybody back together to do the Golden Mile again, and really it's kind of weird how the movie not weird how the movie works, but they get everybody back together, and Nick Frost's character doesn't want to drink at all during this entire thing. He's just like, no, I don't want to drink after the accident, and you eventually find out what he's referring to, but basically the gang's back together, and the only one who seems to be having fun the entire time is Gary, and he's, drinking. I mean, everybody else is drinking and having fun, but he seems to be the only one that's having fun. Meanwhile, everybody in this entire town a lot of them don't recognize Gary and his friends. They're just like, what? Who are you? They ask, who he is. They're like, I don't remember you.